This program is brought to you by Emory University.
On March 3, 2015, the Office of the Provost at Emory University hosted a forum titled Managing a Public Intellectual Profile. The panelists examined the challenges and opportunities of creating and maintaining public intellectual profiles and protecting online reputations in an era dominated by digital media and social networks. The speakers were Cecile Janssens, Professor of Epidemiology at the Rollins School of Public Health, Julie Winch, Director of Social and New Media at Emory, and Tressie McMillan-Cottom, a doctoral candidate in sociology at Emory. In this video, Ms. Winch discusses how online public profiles can validate an academic's work beyond the walls of the university.
I came from CNN, and it's very different from the public intellectual profiles that people are opening here. And it's kind of also been a quick crash course in learning the differences there. But the biggest thing, even coming from the news side of things, is that if someone doesn't have a public profile, whether it be even on LinkedIn or especially Twitter, it's curious, and it kind of questions the validity of them and their reputation, because then you think, oh, well, maybe they aren't that involved. Maybe they don't actually engage on those subjects. And when you are sharing your expertise on a very accessible level, that gains people trust you, and people are going to rely on you for that information. And that's one of the biggest advantages that I've seen of people having these social profiles. And it can be very hard to manage, and that's the biggest question that I always ask people. So as the director of social media, I handle the main Emory University brands, and we all know that there are like 1 million divisions within Emory, and a bunch of different social media managers and a bunch of different accounts, and it's kind of hard to get a grasp of all of that and to actually reach all of those people. But there have been many times where someone comes to me and is like, hey, we have this event going on. I'd love to start a Twitter handle. And I'm like, no. Please don't do that. Because it would be a disservice to them, and it would be a disservice to their event. If you start a Twitter handle on Monday and you have an event on Saturday, I guarantee you will end up with about 20 followers by Saturday, end of the day. What you need is a hashtag. And it's different strategies like that that can be way more effective and actually help Emory's brand as a whole. And it's that when you segment something way too much, it loses its value. And so if every department under the Goizueta Business School has its own Twitter account, you're not going to know where to go for your information, and you're going to get really confused, and you're ultimately just going to say, whatever, I'm not even going to worry about it, I'm not going to pay attention, and it becomes white noise. But you want to be pointed with your messaging, and you want to make sure that you're reaching the audience that you want to reach, rather than just kind of throwing the spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks. And that's something that I've seen so much in social media, especially in the higher ed community, I think, because it's really new to a lot of people, and a lot of people have been purely on the intellectual side for so long, and you were ahead of the game, getting actually involved on Twitter. And I know that you're on Twitter a lot. I was actually telling Tim before we started that my first encounter with Tim was when I was still working at CNN, and I saw that he wrote an op-ed piece, and I was like, hey, I could possibly work with him. That's cool. A very good example of how you can use a public profile in social media. But again, it is really important to have that presence and knowing who you want to reach. So something that we've actually explored is President Wagner possibly having a Twitter handle. Now that is not an easy decision to make, because it requires so much time. And if he's doing it, he already has a lot going on, so you have to kind of come up with a plan. And how often are you going to be sharing that information? And what do you want to be sharing? Do you want to connect with the community? Is that the kind of information that you're getting out there? Do you want to actually share news? And those are the questions that I ask everyone whenever they want to open a profile. There's President Santaono, who's with Cincinnati. He has an incredible presence on Twitter, and he connects with students. But it is something that he is personally interested in, and he really wants those relationships, so it's so successful. It is very, very successful for him. But then there's other people, this happened, I mean, way back when, and someone else actually pointed me to this, but there was a university president, I won't use the university or her name, but she tweeted something that was very opinionated and very personal and relating to a relationship in the government, and she got so much backlash for it and had to like close her Twitter account, and it was pretty much a nightmare for the university's perspective. And you don't want the university to be backtracking for you and always, you know, covering your tracks. But in the right circumstances, you can absolutely have a really successful, very, very successful account. And I've seen many people here do that. You know, Dean James over in the business school has a really good account, and I know how that's run, and they, you know, had a very specific goal with that, and they knew when they were going to post and what she was going to do, and that's great. And another advantage that I've seen that I love about Twitter, and I'm sure that you've seen this, that you guys have seen this, you can make it what you want it to be. And the same kind of goes for LinkedIn, but the real advantage with Twitter is that if you say you exclusively want to be relating to people in the genetics field, you can find handles, groups, lists, hashtags, whatnot, for you to follow and connect with and really make a name for yourself within that community. And that's something that I personally use a lot for social media. Between that and Google Plus has a communities aspect to it that is very, 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 very helpful, especially when you're new to a new situation. I'm in a higher ed social media community, so it gets very, very specific. But they're great because it's crowdsourcing, and it's so easy to reach the people that you couldn't reach 15 years ago. And that's the best and the worst thing. You don't, you know, you have to watch yourself. Everyone's looking for you to slip up and for you to do something wrong and call you on it and, you know, to ruin your reputation. But at the same time, you can build it and you know, your credibility can go along with it really easily for free too. It's just your time. Mm-hmm.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Emory University.